lose after playing StarCraft? This is a dangerous sport.
They're shaped like figure eights.
I'm
We
a little
are
bit
going to be
worried.
getting into the game right now on King Sejong Station, Le.
We totally weren't buying time there, Steadfast, but we are here, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, atop of the Root OSC player. Put your hands together for the Brazilian beast. It's Kelazur.
And spawning up in the top left position of King Sejong, it is the Canadian boy. Give it up for the half Korean, half Canadian Blue Terran player, Masa! Representing Elevate.
Elevating his play up to the next level. But he's going to have to do exactly that, because again, in those round-robin matches, Masa ended up losing to Kelazur.
He did. He told me he was playing a little bit trolly. I don't know that I believe him because Masa can just make trolly work.
Masa is actually just a bit of a troll.
He kind of is, yeah. If you've ever asked him about anything he thinks, all of the answers are always worth hearing. That is a universal.
Absolutely. But TVT, definitely one of the more volatile matchups as we've seen before, and because of that, I'm not going to take too much value from the best of one round robin match. I think that Kelazur is also someone who will never go into a match, will very rarely ever go into a match. I feel like Kelazur would go into a match against me and say, you know what, I know that I'm probably a little bit favored, but I think that he still has a good shot. I'm going to try and make sure that I give him the due credit and everything. Like, no, Kelazur, just dismantle me, destroy me. He does not have a lot of, I guess, overconfidence a lot of the time. And I think because of that, he's always going to be respecting Masa.
Yeah, against a player like you, instead of proxying all 3 production facilities, he just proxied his factory in Starport. He'd keep the barracks at home.
Yeah, for safety.
Yeah, but we do see both players going for a Reaper opening into what I can only assume is going to be a factory and command center. Interesting to see, their gas count is not even a second apart. It's about 0.2 seconds off. We can just see Masa slightly ahead, so the game's over, basically.
Yeah. Masa is slightly further behind on the command center, though, and it's not a huge difference or anything. It's just a small rearrangement of, I guess, the builds and everything. But I do want to note, Kelazur, I think he's told me before that he feels like Masa, he's such a strong and, like, really dangerous player. But his late game, in comparison to many other players that are Terran players, like, I mean, you could even talk about players like Jason who really strive in the late game. Masa is not one of those players. He is about the early and mid stage of the game.
Ooh,
Reaper, already getting a couple kills
for Kelazur, but Masa actually going to be able to get some shots on this Reaper, which is really important because Masa actually built a reactor and Kelazur built another Reaper, and he's going to be trying to put on some Reaper Hellion pressure. So if Masa can kill this, oh wow, look at that. Proxied Starport.
Oh man. Ironically enough, Masa is almost hurting that Reaper in the direction of the proxy, but it's most likely never going to ever go over there.
That would be crazy, yeah. We'll have to see if this will be for Proxy Liberators or if it might be just for straight into Cloak Banshee. Really need to see both of them actually going for that anti-Reaper wall in on the left side with the supply depots.
Yeah, makes it pretty much impossible for those Reapers to actually get out of that small little area if they try and jump up in that location. But Starport finishes up for both of these players. Masa slightly ahead on that Starport time because of the way he did his build. He's going to be going for the Liberator, but Kelazur's already going for a Viking.
And I think he'll be going for a Cyclone. Yeah, there it is.
And
And
safety Cyclone.
Yes, it's going to allow him to feel safe while he puts on this Reaper Hellion pressure. He hasn't moved out with it yet, but I expect that he will be doing so shortly. Reaper's just going to scout around, make sure it's not running into anything super dangerous. But you know what? He might actually keep those Hellions defensive. Masa is a very aggressive player. We were discussing this earlier, and he might feel just a little bit like he wants to take it to the late game, or at least until he gets up to that 3-base, very heavy production. Meanwhile, Masa actually moving out with these 2 Hellions and Reaper to try and bait units out of the way.
I think both of these players trying to get some scouting information. Oh, Reaper has a bit more health than maybe Masa was giving it credit for. Does make its way into the main base. Is going to get a full scout on everything, even doing a little bit of harassment, but micro also happening at the front on the other side of the map, and Kelazur takes the lead in that.
Oh yeah, big advantage right there for Kelazur, as well as able to do quite a bit of damage to those SCVs and even disrupt them a little bit, but the Liberator comes in for Masa. Oh, actually the Cyclone goes in, gets killed! That is huge! The Vikings across the map, so he's going to lose so much mining time.
Oh man, he has to make another Viking, another Cyclone being made. It's going to be so long while Kelazor just falls behind economically. Even though he has more workers, he's not really going to be able to make the use of most of them. Kelazor does finally get out that Viking and is able to push back that Liberator, but he might actually be able to snipe that off entirely.
Oh, nice micro from Masa, going to take down that Hellion, but he might get that Liberator out. Ooh, blocks the Reaper. Nice job by my Masa right there. Not going to let it get any more scouting.
I think Kelazor losing vision of the Liberator. Not sure if he's really just chasing a ghost at that point.
Look at this, the most delayed cloak you've ever seen. Going to be going for a 5-minute proxy Banshee. I love this. Masa is such a madman.
Absolutely fantastic. But, of course, we do end up having, as you were saying, the Banshee is going to be coming out. But are the Vikings for Kelazor going to be effective over here? Is he going to have the scans available? Can he just take out those Banshees and shut them down immediately? Because if he does, then suddenly it's really just been actually something that sets Masa back a bit.
Yeah, he is down 5 workers, so he really wants that Banshee to do something. The proxying of that starport, while the Liberator was obviously very good, did not do everything that needed. I wonder what the orbital energy is. Nice scan, or cloak timing. Gonna not take any damage right there.
Yeah.
And already killing 5 workers.
Does Kelazor not have enough energy for a scan right now? There it finally comes down. 2 Vikings are
gotta
gonna be able to get
so
it low,
close.
but it's not gonna be able to kill it.
Oh, he gets out, even picks off another SCV as that's happening. Wow, goes after Stim.
Oh no, does Kelazor not have another scan? He has 4 Vikings, but he cannot fire at this Banshee. The Banshee is eventually gonna knock down the tech lab. He needs to start repairing that tech lab.
He's pulling 2 SCVs to repair it, but with the Banshee coming in, a new one, gonna actually take down this starport.
Oh my god.
Oh, he's...
Scan does go down, but the missile
just
turret is
gets
still
out
not
of
building.
range.
Missile turret is still not building right now, and it's an all-out retreat. Kelazor is just abandoning his main base for mining, and the tech lab is gonna burn down. He's not gonna finish up Stim.
Oh, does start
down.
1 repair, but if Masa moves on top of that, he'll be able to pick that off.
Yeah, he should be able to save that now. He did get the repair down in time, and the Vikings are going to be able to zone that Banshee out since it did run out of energy.
Masa taking such a huge worker lead right there. 15 workers and another cloaked Banshee. Keep in mind, he killed the turret in the main, so there's no detection there.
Oh man, this is going to be a huge problem right now for Kelazor. He's already lost out on so much mining, but he's going to be losing even more mining as he has to pull the workers away, but is still losing them little by little. Masa is just getting further and further ahead.
But Kelazor getting very aggressive right now. Gonna pick, huge shots on those Marines.
Yeah, making some damage happen, maybe a potential for a comeback. He's not necessarily taking out the economy of Masa, but he's taking out the army, and that may end up being the winning move, potentially.
Yeah, but there's nothing to actually contest this Banshee on the other side of the map, doing so much damage right now to these SCVs. He can't even rally out the Marines to deal with it.
Kelazor hasn't even gotten enough time to build up missile turrets in either of his mineral lines during the midst of all of this. And I don't think he wants to.
No, he doesn't. He's going to rely on those Vikings that just popped out. This is a very interesting push right now from Kelazor. It is just Vikings and tanks.
You know, it's sort of weird to think about, but as we do still end up seeing Kelazor killing off a couple of workers here and there, but losing some of his own on the other side of the map.
Oh, and here's the big fight coming in.
Yeah, looks like Kelazor's just gonna back out of there. Gotta be so careful with those medevacs. Unloads the siege tank. Vikings are gonna reign supreme for Kelazor for now, but his rallies are a little bit further behind.
Yeah, bit of a missed micro there from Masa. He went in with less Vikings and didn't target fire the Cyclone, which is what he needed to do. There, he does get the lock on one, but he still is just kind of feeding these Vikings in piecemeal, and Masa is actually now behind in workers.
No, still ahead in workers, 54 to 47, but he's certainly getting to that point.
Sorry, army supply is what I'm...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Kelazor has been able to maintain that army supply and is still continuing to build up. Third expansion, mining for Masa, though, I think is a really, really big deal. It's the fact that he'll have better production, and if Kelazor is not able to make more progress in this, I mean, he's doing some nice harassment. He's starting to pick away at some of the SCVs that get over-eager, but Kelazor has to find a way to push in further. It's just the problem is, I think his medevacs are so low on health. His Vikings end up landing to take out those siege tanks and maintain the advantage.
Oh, he wins the fight with the Viking.
Oh, yeah, and now Masa is going to be able to pick up all those medevacs. The siege tank is going to end up falling, and Kelazor's push is finally over.
And this is actually a huge deal for Kelazor, as Masa is now going up to 3 full bases mining. Wow, really wonky drop coming into the third base, and there's actually nothing to stop it just yet. Army units moving down from the natural.
Okay, Seashank is not going to focus fire down on the workers that were moving around, but Seashank is going to be able to get a couple of kills up. I'm actually surprised. Kelazor left that Seashank to fend for himself, but it holds its ground.
It did. It got some pretty decent value, and now after all of that, we have almost an even game. This is just so big difference, though. We do have an upgrade lead for Masa, and denying that third base with the Banshee. That has so much energy.
You know, I feel like Jason said it the best. He said it before. He said, you know what, in TVT, I never assume that I actually have an advantage because there is no such thing as a hard advantage in TVT, but Kelazor losing so many units. I mean, is this a hard advantage for Masa? Kelazor has shown that he can come back after losing a lot of units, but he is down quite a bit of army supply and still not mining from that third.
That was way too much YOLO right there. That was 3 tanks that he just lost and a medevac, and that's one of those things where you can keep being aggressive, but if it's not careful and calculated, sometimes you get bitten for it. And I think he felt like he was maybe still behind, even though he pretty nearly evened things up, and he just got a little bit too aggressive, and all of a sudden Masa has himself in a big lead with a hugely comfortable position.
These Banshees, just the repeated Banshees that have been made, have been such an important factor for Masa's lead in this game, because it's not just the first Banshee and the second Banshee that did this damage, it's the fact that he just keeps making them and keeps going in, and every single time Kelazor is like, oh god, you're making Banshees, why are you still making Banshees? Who does that?
Yeah, and speaking of YOLO, we have Masa, YOLO stimming in, gonna kill a ton of SCVs, and I think the third command center, they're so overstimmed, but it doesn't matter, he's still gonna take that down. Meanwhile, Kelazor does have a counterattack on the top side of the map. Okay.
I mean, this has got to be an almost game-ending counterattack because he just lost his third expansion. He doesn't have sustainability in anything that he's doing anymore. Medevac is going to get sniped off with all the Marines still inside of it. GG is going to get called, and Masa takes game number 1.
GG, we have Masa taking that first game.